And we are back.
Regrettably.
Seki is in pain.
I can just see her soul severing outside her mouth in pain.
Yeah,
So
it's like I've taken a fucking angel blade to the heart.
So this submission can be split up into 2 arcs and one-off episode.
So let's talk about it that way, because that's what we did with the last section.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Tower of Heaven first, right? So this is Urza's backstory arc, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it.
So, also, we do get some Juvia. I just want to put that out there now. Because best girl.
Juvia mad simping for Grey, though, honestly.
I mean, do you blame her?
Not really.
Not really.
Stripper man on screen naked a lot.
Yeah, honestly. She just, like, she can't contain herself. She's just like,
Speaking of, at least aesthetic-wise, we do get one of Urza's more famous and used requips here, which is that chest bindings and red flame pants wrap with the 2 swords. So besides her like sword form that we're going to see in the next arc, this is one of the ones that she does requip into several times throughout the series. So one of the things about Urza is sometimes we see like a random armor that's like suited for a very specific fight and then we'll never see it again. But this is one that we will see some more. I just want to put that out there.
Swimsuit episode.
You know. Honestly, I think now I really understand where Juvia is coming from with Grey, because if I take Grey and put like his face to a real person, he kind of has that pretty boy aesthetic going for him.
He does.
Where he's got that really like long curly hair, but he's got that really strong masculine jawline, and it's just like. And then he's ripped as fuck because of all the intense training that he's done.
Yeah.
So it's like, how could Juvia not? Honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, but also he's not ripped as in like the macho.
No,
Yeah.
He's fit.
like,
he's physically fit, but he's
ripped.
not. But he's not jacked.
He's athletic,
Exactly.
not
Yes.
a bodybuilder.
Exactly.
He's not like Elfman. So this is Urza's backstory arc. So Tower of Heaven refers to a location as well, right? So Urza is taken to the Tower of Heaven. She's taken by these people that she recognizes, like she used to know them when she was a child, when she was a slave, basically, purchased as a slave and then forced to work in this tower under Jalal. Well, with Jalal, but under Jalal.
Yeah.
Fun and fucky.
It actually made me like her character a little bit more.
It gives you a little bit.
She wasn't as stupid.
It gives you a little bit of explanation as to why she is how she is now, because she's very.
She's very uptight and kind of serious.
But as someone who at the age of like what 4-ish was like sold into slavery and lost her eye entirely. No wonder, that she's not acting like a normal person who was raised in a happy family dynamic.
Yeah, because you'd imagine, Urza, at least as far as, the cast is concerned, she doesn't act like how you would think like that. Because, Natsu and Grey, they're pretty carefree, honestly.
Yeah, but Natsu and Grey were also raised in the guild.
But they were also raised in the guild, so they had a lot more of that kind of, interaction.
A happy family. The village raises the child.
Exactly.
With Grey and
Yeah, but I also think the idea that Urza's pretty carefree as well. She just makes it look like she's not.
I mean, I think she enjoys doing what she enjoys, but she still has some demons in her past. It's hard to forget that shit, and that's a lot.
That's the kind of shit that you don't really ever really get over. You can do your best to get over it, but you don't really ever truly get over it in some ways.
But. So, Tower of Heaven, Jalal.
There's a lot about this arc that I like, but I also have some pretty fundamental issues with it.
Well, let's have them out.
So, I'll start with what I like here, because I feel like I guess, Seki's not as attached to this arc as the next one.
Oh, okay. Preface this. Tower of Heaven is, even though I acknowledge it is objectively a good arc, it is one of my least favorite arcs in the whole series. That's a preface for Seki,
Wait, it was even worse than Galuna Island for you?
I actually like Galuna Island more.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ouch. that says something.
But I feel for me, I like Tower of Heaven. The way it's built up, and because you have like the flashbacks specifically were handled really well with Urza. Like Vorn, who gave the submission a mess, said he really liked how Urza's character was handled here.
Yeah.
I feel like a large part of that is because these flashbacks were paced really well throughout the series to get you attached to Urza, and you got a good sense and feel for her connection to all these people,
Yeah,
including the main villain. Which I gotta say, at this point in the series, Jalal is probably the most fleshed out of the main villains we've had.
Well, yeah, Jalal's interesting, right? Because we're gonna see Jalal again, but not in an Aizen way where he just keeps popping up as like the ultimate mastermind.
And at least they don't treat him like they did with Phantom Lord, where he was just kind of a one and done dump villain.
Yeah. Then I have some issues with a few choices in this arc, especially towards the end. My main issue, and I think Vorn was getting at this, was just the sudden introduction of the assassin characters when you had perfectly good enemy fodder that could have been enemy turned ally with Urza's old friends that would have made for decent fight scenes, that you get them beating the main cast early on. So it would have been interesting to see the main cast come back and fight in the end. Instead you get these assassins who aren't really all that fleshed out, and they just kind of appear and disappear. While some of them make for fun fight scenes, I don't think they mesh very well with the story.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, as soon as I saw him, I thought, is this just like a budget Batman villain character?
And then the ending of the arc kind of, I don't want to say ruined it for me, but it ruined it for me. Jalal should not have been beaten as suddenly and by Natsu. Jalal needed to at least the decision to beat Jalal should have rested with Urza, given how much of this arc was central to her.
See, and I think the part I like about this arc most is the Jalal Seagrain bits. The fact that he's
No, I already predicted all of that.
wormed his way into the Magic Council, but is also like, because we've seen him in previous arcs. Like he was in the Phantom Lord arc as Seagrain, and he was like, nah, fairy tale's great. Let them do what they want, right? Like, you know, because then you really get a character that you've like kind of already seen, you know, but in a very, very different context.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like they did some really cool stuff like that with that, like that sudden, like that plot twist, which I was really happy to have figured that one out. Just as while I was watching, like, wait, no, that's not what's going on, is it? And the that ultimate spell, like when Jalal said that he needed a lot of magic to make that work, or Urza pointed that out, I'm like, oh, wait, Jalal's twin is about to fire off a giant fuck you spell at them, which is very powerful magically cast by, what was it, the Grandmasters?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what actually screwed it up for me, because I realized it probably a bit too soon. Because as soon as I saw Jalal's face, it's like, clones. And then, like, as soon as I heard about that giant fuck-ass weapon, it's like, he's going to use that to power tower, and everything was proven right. Kind of sucks.
Vorn. Not every anime arc is going to be something completely unique that you can't possibly guess that you've never seen before.
No, it's just, it was a bit too easy. That's just the problem.
It's shonen.
It's shonen. This
Shonen.
isn't meant to be...
I dare you to make a commentary on the logicality of Dragon Ball. Like, fam. This,
I mean, on one
and
hand...
I will say, arguably, of all the big shonens, this is the one most geared towards kids.
Yeah.
So, you have to think that this does have a slightly younger, on average, demographic target. So, I mean, it is a little bit more simplistic and childish at times than you would find a different shonen being.
Yes, and I love those scenes. But god damn, even if I was a child, I felt I would figure it out way too soon.
You wouldn't
I
have.
just like...
You wouldn't have.
Vorn, you wouldn't have. If you were
not
watching
have.
this as a 7-year-old, you would have been like,
You were not some genius child.
yeah.
Let me tell you.
Hindsight is 20/20, Vorn.
Okay.
It's very easy for us to say this now, but we would not have figured this out as like 6 or 7-year-olds.
No, we absolutely
Okay.
would not have.
Yeah.
If it's a 6 or 7-year-old, you do not have the same knowledge of the tropes that go into fiction.
Yeah,
so
you simply just wouldn't have the experience to be like, oh, this is...
Whereas an adult, it probably does feel like 80% of the stuff you watch, you can tell what's coming.
Yeah. That's one of those things that we have to keep in mind when watching shows that are a little bit more coded for children, because at least in the case of maybe One Piece and sometimes Naruto and Dragon Ball, they are kind of coded towards a teenage demographic, whereas this is definitely like a preteen-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite Pokemon for kids, but it's definitely not, as coded for a kind of more YA audience.
Like, you don't get as many... Like, you'll notice you don't get any explicit deaths in the series.
Yeah, like you get people saying stuff that could be construed as maybe a death.
Yeah, but you never get anything concrete like say Goblin Slayer or anything.
Yeah.
There's no impalings or head removals. No, it's like disintegrations, which could mean they're still alive. Or
Yeah.
It could be... It just faded to white. You didn't see them die.
Exactly.
Um...
So, I understand where you're coming from. The arc is not exactly a masterpiece of obfuscation, but for its demographic...
That said, if I could take a moment to be Vorn and start criticizing a children's show for not being a children's show, or for being a children's show, that Urza fake-out death was kind of stupid.
Well...
Like, it wasn't even on the level of a fake-out death. It was they killed her off to get emotion, ended the episode, and she's alive the next
But
episode.
once again, you're watching it week to week. That does leave you on a cliffhanger on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and they outlined the perfect arc in, like, this little, what would people be like if I died? And, like, Natsu isn't accepting that she's dead. That could have been, like, the perfect fake-out search for Spock death arc right there.
Yeah.
Like, and it didn't have to be, like, an explicit, like, traumatizing death. They could have had this arc. God, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of missed potential, and at the way they included it, it shouldn't have been there at all.
It felt like a cop-out.
I didn't mind it, but then again, I watched this when I was much younger. Fuck, I'm old. I watched this when I was a lot younger, and so, I enjoyed it. Like I said, Tower of Heaven is not my favorite arc, and that's actually not really related to story. I actually just don't like the supporting characters in this arc. Like, Urza's friends, I'm just not a fan.
You mean you don't like Mr. Minecraft?
No. No, I also don't like the Owl Man.
See, I feel like I gotta agree with you there, though, because they don't... Like, outside of the flashbacks, where they don't have all the gimmicks, they don't really do much to flesh them out after that.
Yeah, I will say a few of them are going to be added to the regular rotation of, like, extra cast. Like, we will see a few of them again.
Will we see Mr. Minecraft again?
I don't remember specifically.
Mr. Minecraft.
We will see a few of them again, but it's not going to be for a while. Kind of like Leon. Like, we saw him back in episode, like, 18.
Who's
and then...
Leon?
I give up. Fuck. Okay. So it's a Tower of Heaven, mostly positive. It had some pacing issues, but it's a good arc, especially for a shonen.
I still got a couple more things to say about
okay.
this. One, freaking the hair guy. Why the hell did she not just take out the barber guy to fucking just cut off the hair? Fucking that guy probably
Contract times.
Isn't he a golden key?
Doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter though. So the way her magic works, right? She has to make contracts, right?
Yeah.
To make the contract, she has to check when they're available and when they're willing to help her. Now, they say it a few times in the manga, right? And they don't say it as many times in the anime because I think they don't want to, like, repeat themselves too much. But sometimes she doesn't pull out a certain key because that's not during a contracted time where she can.
Yeah. Please tell me there was an entire, like, filler episode about all of her contracts going on strike.
I think there is at one point. like it's very much like a working hours sort of thing. Like, for example, the harp player that we saw back in, like... Well, you remember the harp player we saw? Like, she can only call out the harp player, like, twice a month on, like, a specific day.
Yeah.
So, she's not always going to pull out the same... It'd kind of be boring if she always pulled out the same ones. And she also increases her library of keys as the series goes on. So, we're going to see them kind of, like... More and more, she's going to be switching them up, using different ones for different fights. I think, really... Loki's the only one who gets used fairly regularly
And
in the later series,
it's kind of,
and that's because Loki can open his own gate, and that's something unique to him.
yeah. But it's also, it's like you were saying, it kind of makes it a bit more interesting, because even, like, if it seems, like, stupid, like, from kind of, like, a retrospective, oh, well, why didn't she just summon this spirit or whatever? But you gotta remember that these spirits, they kind of have their own personal schedules.
Yeah, like, they have their own lives. Like,
Yeah.
and they're not gonna die if she does. They'll just get a new holder. So
Yeah.
they don't need to be on call 24/7. They have their own lives in their own world, and retrospectively, yeah, you can say, like, there's a fight later in the series against Flare Corona. You're never going to get there, but she uses her hair. And Lucy doesn't use the crab. Lucy doesn't use Cancer for it.
Yeah.
Because while Cancer probably would have been the easiest and fastest way to do it, she uses a different spirit. And I think that adds a little bit, at least in my opinion, retrospectively, of course, to the complexity of her magic and the detail with which they go to deal with it over the course of the series.
The problem is with like what you said right there is I want like I don't know like oh god like I want inner dialogue where it says oh crap Cancer is busy right now I can't call him or something like that. And like,
I gotta agree with Warren here. They could establish how that contract
because
works because Lucy's magic does go a little bit more. It feels like things only happen ever for comedic sake with her magic unless it's Loki.
I acknowledge that. I will say, while they mention it a few times extra in the manga, it's pretty rare that we hear a few of the spirits like full contracts with her, but we certainly in the manga, I don't think we hear each and every single one of them over the course of the series. But like, for example, I know at some point she says when she's able to summon Aquarius, and I know at some point she with some of her keys, right, going on in the series, when she gets them in the series, we can see her make the contract and we see what the days are. But with the few that she has, like, before the series, I'm not sure if they ever clarify what...
I think we only get 3?
So far, yeah.
I think...
Because you know Plu's, you know Lyra's, and we saw someone, like Horologium, I think, and Aquarius.
Yeah, so 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I see what you mean. And I think that, yes, they, at least this early in the series, when we still haven't seen her use her magic that many times, we could have gotten a bit of a clarification. Also, it's harder for her to open the gates of the gold keys. Like...
Magically or like...
Yeah. So actually, she can only keep them open for so long, and she can only open so many because she doesn't have a ton of magical reserves, and they actually draw on her magical power to come out.
Okay.
So Loki's the only one, when he opens his own gate, he's doing it under his own power. But for her to call out any of her other spirits, she is expending her own magical energy to hold them out there. Which is a point later they point out that like very few celestial wizards can ever hold more than 2 keys open at one time. And even then it depends on the rating of the key. And gold keys, it's very rare to find mages who can hold open more than 1. And if she's constantly sending them back and forward, it's not as if she's not still expending the energy. She's still expending that energy, and she has a limited amount of it. And it's much smaller than, say, Natsu or Urza or Grace. Like, consistently throughout the series, like, you have to realize she is weaker than the other 3 magically.
Because she's relying on her spirit keys in order to actually, like, use most of the power that she has.
Well, yeah, because she's a holder type, so she doesn't cast her own spells, not really. But also her spirits are pretty strong, and they drain a lot of her energy very fast.
What are you talking about? Lucy Kick is an amazing spell.
Yeah. So I get what you mean. They could have explained it a little bit more. I do.
The priestess is also another one had issues with.
Yeah.
Like, I get why you guys want the explanation, but also after a certain point, I feel like it would get really grating to hear, oh, fuck, right, I can't summon X spirits.
I think that's why they don't say it explicitly most of the time.
Well, I don't think we need, like, we don't need to know the work schedule of every single one of her spirits.
Yeah.
But
Like
it should have been stated a little bit more clearly that there are work schedules on these.
Yeah.
You know what would honestly would have been a fun way to work around this little bit of a problem?
What?
It might not have done so well, but honestly would have at least given the explanation. Have a filler episode where Lucy just kind of has like an explanation of like of like her different like spirits and stuff like that. Essentially, like that, like what you're talking about, that strike episode or whatever
Yeah.
with her spirits. Except it's not like inherently hostile to it.
I mean, that's
She's
a pretty
setting
sneaky
up
way
a
to
calendar. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically like a calendar. Like it's just a day in the life of Lucy.
Look
and-
at the one time where I will accept the Persona calendar on screen, just
Yeah.
mark down the different spirit availabilities.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Or like in a fight, like it would be interesting if Lucy actually took a moment to consider if I could have used this spirit, or this spirit I'm good to use in like 10 minutes or something, but I need to stall out for that time.
Yeah.
Something
I
like
see
that you
what
can
you mean.
establish without having to go like, well, Aquarius here works from 12 to 3 on Sundays. only."
Alternating Tuesdays and
Yeah.
Thursdays are her date day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Aquarius is probably one of the gold keys we get to know the best, just because she's always yelling at Lucy about when she has dates and when Lucy needs to fuck off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean. They could have done a little more to give us kind of a.
I think in general the issues comes down to they don't give Lucy much non-comedic like
And that
development to her abilities.
that gets a lot better as we go on.
it already is getting better
Yeah.
as soon as the next arc.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah.
it when we get to Battle of Fairy Tale, because we get it a little bit there as well.
Yeah.
But
Honestly, I think what would help a little bit as well, at least as far as like it differentiating with like the mages and stuff like that, and like how much energy they can essentially expand. We get
Wizards,
a little bit more.
Harrison. Wizards, not mages.
Okay, yeah.
Is it mages?
it's either or.
Matrix.
Oh.
Either or. Yeah.
This is why honestly I get confused with it, because obviously it's either or.
It's either or.
It's either
Yeah.
or, but it's like they're so interchangeable, like as a term it feels like, that it's like I'll just say mages.
Yeah. In this case, I think I've heard it translated both ways into English, depending on like the dub sub. Like I think the sub says one and the dub says another, but mages, wizards doesn't really matter.
Be another thing if I were saying magus or magus or something like
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
no.
Well,
Damn it, Rome!
Damn it, Nick Nack!
Damn it, Nick Nack.
Damn it, Horn!
damn you all!
Damn it, Nick Nack!
As you should.
Oh my.
Okay.
Have you completely forgotten your train?
Yeah, basically, I've completely forgotten.
Oh,
my train.
it was about the different types of magic.
Yeah. Okay. So what it was is specifically like essentially how much energy the wizards can expend.
It's mages,
So-
not wizards, Rome.
Oh my fucking god. So.
Are we really gonna do this right now? Are
No.
we really gonna have to
fucking
throw?
not.
Are we gonna have to
No.
throw down
No.
right now?
No, we're fucking not. So I get what you mean, because they haven't really clarified, like, in terms of power scaling, who does what and where.
Yeah.
And obviously, the manifestations of power come across so differently. Like, Natsu breathes fire.
Right.
Urza equips armor and is very strong, and Lucy's like a holder type, where
Yeah.
she uses items. And so
Like,
we've already
I-
seen...
the way I like to look at Urza, at least as far as like in the role of like a quote unquote wizard, is she's sort of like a spellblade almost.
Because she's not using specific spells, she's equipping and re-equipping different types of armor with different boosts and then fighting.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
She's essentially doing the Ainsel Gome thing where when he was fighting Shaltir,
Yeah, where-
he would snap his thing and he would change his class essentially.
Whereas
Yeah.
Gray and...
Whereas Gray
so
and
I think
Natsu are very they're very direct
Yeah.
with their kind of powers.
So the way it breaks down, right, is Lucy has holder type, right? So she is an energy container, and then she has items that she makes use of
Yeah.
that she fuels with her energy. Urza is a requip mage, which means that she augments her strength with her requips, right? The different armor she puts on.
It's essentially
Um,
like if you suddenly like changed your stat allocation.
Yeah, you're
D&D.
enhancing yourself, and
That's
then
what Seki would do if she was inside of...
yeah, like I would requip, right?
Yeah.
And then Natsu and Gray, for example, Gray is technically a maker type, which is its own, where he makes something from scratch in like different imaginations. And there's a couple other maker mages we meet that use not ice but other things, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Would
But
Juvia be considered a maker type technically, or is she different?
No. So Juvia is what Natsu is, right? They are
Oh, okay.
made of their element. Basically.
Oh,
They
okay.
use like an elemental magic. It is essentially their like Gray's body is not made of ice,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. He just makes ice.
But Juvia and Natsu like are fire and ice.
So
which
what
is
is
kind of
happy?
the difference. Fuck off. And to be honest, that's a pretty down the line division of like the difference between Grey, Juvia, and Natsu, because Grey, Juvia, and Natsu are all kind of like manifesting type, right? Like they control like an element or something, and then they cast spells using that element.
Right.
And then there's like a few other things, like we meet Levi in the next set who has the writing where she just like writes a word and then it happens, and that's a type of maker magic. So you have the people who enhance themselves, the people who fuel other magical artifacts, and then the people who fight with their magic, right? Like their magic manifests some sort of power and they fight with it.
And I'd imagine that this varies, like, based on... I'd imagine that there's, like, an aptitude, like, essentially for some of the dimensions.
like Lucy can't be, like...
Can't be, like, say, like, what Natsu or Grey, or Natsu or Grey.
Different people are born able to work with different magics, but you can train to use sort of different magics in small ways. You just have affinities.
Yeah.
And some people are just born happy.
Fuck off! I literally cannot wait for the Edoless arc. I literally fucking can't. Just so I can get you to shut up.
So the way I like to look at Lucy now that we've had this conversation is basically she's a diesel engine.
Yeah, and right now she has like a fair amount of fuel, right? Like she's not weak. She can summon gold keys.
Yeah.
But so it's almost like it's not only that she's like a diesel engine, but also your magic gets stronger the more you use it, right? So the more you expend and then recover and expend, you can enlarge the size of like your magic reserves by constantly using it all up and then letting it refill and then using it all up and letting it refill. So the more powerful spirit she gets and the more fighting she does, she gets stronger and stronger bit by bit. It's just she's not had the opportunity to do that growing up much because she was raised like
she was raised as nobility essentially.
As opposed to Grey, Urza, and Natsu, who grew up fighting and having to use their magic constantly.
As moms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So right now she's definitely the weakest of the four. Yeah. You know, but as the series goes on, she will gain more and more power.
She'll sort of like kind of catch up to their like almost relative power level in some ways. Ish. I mean, she's never gonna surpass them, but
it's not that. It's once again, this is a difference in fighting style. Like it would be very. Lucy's not gonna like 1v1 Urza in full armor, right? No. Like Lucy. At the point of the end of the series, there's probably a way that she could beat Urza, but it wouldn't involve just like a straight on 1v1.
No, it would require a lot of strategy from her and using her.
That's another thing. Lucy has to learn to utilize strategy, and she was raised very cloistered, and she's smart, but she's not that smart. And she actually does, at a certain point in the series, kind of like start learning strategy.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of dumb sometimes.
I think we've stalled long enough. I think it's time to hear Vorn's unsolicited opinions on the Battle of Fairy Tail.
Hey, okay.
Actually, it's still not done. You guys been freaking stopping me.
Okay, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, go ahead, Vorn.
Tower of Heaven.
Yeah, Priestess and Urza fight. It sounds so... Like, I'm assuming the Priestess' power is based on sight. And I'm assuming Urza would have actually realized it by then. And then we actually have the crystal and the power. And, like, why the hell didn't she just use it to resurrect her friend? Because that probably would use most of the power up anyway. And now I'm done. Good.
That's not how that works. You can't just resurrect people. Oh my fucking god, Vorn. What are we watching?
The hell is...
Dragon Ball?
What the hell is System R supposed to fucking do? Huh?
Wipe out the continent?
No, that's not how they explained it.
I'm making a joke.
Vorn, you actually study STEM. You should know that you can't turn an explosion into blood.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, you can't just take that energy and turn it into something entirely... Like, healing magic is its own entirely separate thing. There are people who have healing magic, but this is not healing magic.
You know, I'm Knick-Knack, I'm actually laughing right now, but for an entirely different reason right now. You can't take an explosion and turn it into blood, but there's actually something in Elden Ring called Blood Flame.
That's separate.
Realm.
That's different.
I know it's different, but that's why I said it was off topic.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's interesting, but yeah, that's not how the see. You were like, oh, the rest is contrived. You want something even more contrived. You want something even more contrived, right? The one person that dies, right, in this series, and you're like, oh, instead of just absorbing the power and then having to deal with it later, let's just have them use the power to resurrect him, because the power of friendship. Oh my fucking god, Vorn.
No, I was thinking of, like, resurrecting him, having him save Ursa, and then we actually have a nice little
That's
subplot, but
literally
that's pretty
more
much
of
it.
a fairy tale ending than this.
I'm just assuming there's a fairy tale ending at this point. I'm giving the fuck up on assuming not. This is fucking fairy tale at this point, and we need something happy. We've had too much depressing shit over the whole entire season.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Choo choo, all aboard the depression train. Next up.
Okay, is that the end of your thoughts on Tower of Heaven?
Yes.
Okay, now it's time to get it. I will hurt you.
We'll get into that later.
I will hurt you.
Okay, just one more thing though on the power. Okay, this is
I'm
on the
joking.
Yeah, on the power scaling. What I would actually really like, at least as far as like a visual is concerned, like in season 3 in Overlord, this is obviously a topic, but basically when Ainz was fighting that guild crew or whatever, and then he took
I
off
think we're getting into spoilers for Overlord Season 3, which we have not done on this channel.
Well, I'm using it to explain my point. Basically,
even Seki hasn't seen Overlord Season 3.
Okay.
Yes.
I have not.
Yeah, that's
So please
why-
don't spoil it
Please
for
don't.
everyone.
Well, at least for her.
Yeah.
I think.
I wouldn't remember anyways, but so
It's just
Are-
explain
so-
the power scaling technique, knick-knack.
are you saying that you would want like a more
A
visual
visual
representation?
representation essentially of their expendable mana, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, okay, I think I get what you mean. Fun fact, there is actually a way to measure that in this world.
Mhm.
It's just reserved for like the Royal Knights and the Magic Council right now,
Ah.
and it's not a very common technology available.
Yeah, and it's
Like,
and it's
we-
not, and it's in fairness, it's probably not something that you really need to do often, anyways.
Yeah, we do actually get a bunch of the characters and cast measuring their mana in a post time skip arc during the second fighting tournament in the series.
Great.
We do get a moment where they're like measuring power, and it's actually pretty fucking cool because what they have them do is they pull out this mana measuring thing, and they have them cast their strongest spell with as much power as they can at it, and then it measures it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Wait.
And then what they have is they have like a general where they say, okay, well, Knights of the Magic Council are generally around 300, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like some of the elite magical forces of the kingdom. So 300 is a good benchmark for powerful versus not powerful, you know. And then they have, I think it's something like 12 characters do it, who you've seen all before. So you get to see like, and they're all different types of magic, so you also get to see that.
Yeah.
So I think I know what you mean, and there is an example of it later.
How would Lucy's work? Because she needs to put her magic into the key.
So one of the things you learn later about Lucy, and I don't mind saying this because it's not really spoiling much, but celestial mages can use some spells. There are celestial spells.
Oh, like the firework thing? Or is it different?
I think so, yeah. Like, there are certain spells she can use. She just hasn't learned them yet.
Yeah.
At the moment. But there are spells that she can use as a celestial mage that non-celestial mages couldn't use.
She can use a celestial spell.
Fuck off, Knick-Knack!
Also, not you. Firework.
Yeah. Okay. Battle of Fairy Tail.
Yeah.
This is my all-time favorite arc in Fairy Tail. This is my baby. This is my life. I have seen this arc at least 300 different times.
Alright, Vorn, I'll go ahead and put the bag over its head. You go ahead and shoot it in the back.
No! I'm going to get the shovel and fucking chop its freaking neck off.
Okay, So, Battle of Fairy Tail, right? We all get back to the guild. They're having a celebration. And Loxus turns up during the beauty contest. And Loxus is like, fuck all of you weaklings. Let the Battle of Fairy Tail begin. And and then puts up lacrima all around the city, and then has this is the cool. Okay, this is my opinion. This is the coolest magic in the entire series. Is Freed's rules?
The runes?
Yeah, the
Those
rune
are
rules.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
being able to impose like limits and requirements in a field that anyone who is inside it are trapped by is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. I love the Thunder Legion. Bixlow and Freed are my favorites. Loxus is one of my favorite characters. And I really like this arc because you get to see a lot of the characters, a lot of different magics, right? We get to explore a little bit about like people's feelings with one another. To me, at least, nothing felt like it dragged on too long. But that's obviously just me, because Vorn thought it dragged a little bit, which is fair. It is a fighting arc. Some of the fights could have been a little shorter than they were.
I don't know. The fights are typically contained to one episode,
True.
if even that, because they actually did, in my opinion, they did a good job pacing the fights. If I can sympathize with Vorn as far as the pacing goes here, I think, and I don't personally feel this way, but if you're looking at this arc as being much lower stakes overall for the most part compared to something like Tower of Heaven or I think Galuna Island in the previous arc, but I can't remember.
Galuna Island was kind of a joke. It's not really
Yeah.
high stake, but
Compared to Tower of Heaven, which
Yeah.
was big stake, this one's pretty low stakes and it runs just as long.
Yeah, it is a little long. I think I'm okay with that because we get to see a lot of different things. But I could see how this being a lot lower stakes and running like the same length essentially.
I just felt some of the fights just really weren't that important at all.
Well, so here's the thing. I think that each of the fights, right, that we saw was meant to show us something about the guild dynamics, right? Like, this arc is essentially... Oh my fucking god. My dude, you are like...
He's
This is
burrowing.
oddly comfortable.
Just let
I'm
him
worried
burrow.
about the couch.
Oh, I'll stop for that.
Yeah. You're like this deep in there.
Context.
Context is important in this situation.
See, because I personally thought, right, that because every fight we saw, right, especially guild members being forced to fight one another, showed us like aspects of friendships and relationships and that sort of thing. Like when you see Juvia and Kana being told that they have to fight one another, and Juvia, I'd rather sacrifice myself than fight you because now you're one of my friends, like you are one of my guild members, and I would do anything for you. And Kana, like, no, don't fucking do that. Like that was like a moment of like emotional kind of shit.
No.
Or Alzak refusing to not fight because he loves Biska so much that he has to save her. You know? That's the sharpshooter.
I don't remember the sharpshooter and the other guy that much. They kind of felt like
Okay,
brand new
they
to
had
me.
like the shortest fight, and also we did see both of them in Battle for Phantom Lord. We saw both Biska and Alzak using their magic in Phantom Lord. Because they're the two sharpshooters of the guild. They use guns. Magic-powered guns.
I think what Warren's saying here is it didn't feel like every fight moved the story along in any significant
like
way.
certain fights were nice
Mm-hmm.
and were about like some nice things, but then other ones like, wait, what? Why are we seeing this?
I
kind of
suppose
fights?
I'm coming from almost a retrospective where I've seen a lot more of these characters, and for me, like, I do get the whole emotional appeal.
No, I'm right there with you. I appreciate this arc for what it does for individual character arcs, but if you look at this arc and what these characters do for the story arc, not all of it feels like it builds into that Loxus plot line. And some of it just felt like, oh, we're going to have, like, the Juvia... Who is it that Juvia
Kana.
fought? Kana?
Kana.
Yeah. Because Kana didn't end up really doing much against the other guy anyways, and Juvia's sacrifice felt just kind of there to get her out of the picture.
Yeah.
Even though it does a lot for a character arc, for the story it didn't do much, and you didn't really need to show it for the story itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's also interesting in that we have Loxus as, like, the main villain, but then we have Freed, Bixlow, and...
Wood something. What was it?
I don't like her very much at this point in the story.
Everwood?
Evergreen.
Evergreen.
Evergreen, thank you.
Oh.
So Evergreen... Evergreen, Bixlow, and Freed, right? And they're the Thunder Legion. And then here's the thing, like, arguably, the three of them are basically almost S-classes themselves. Like, they are super fucking strong. That's why they go on quests with Loxus. Like, they're very strong. Arguably, they are stronger than just about anyone in the guild except for R4, right? Like, with the exception of our, like, main character, 4, right? Yeah. They are stronger than most other people in the guild. So we do have kind of overwhelming odds in some ways.
You know, I can describe, like, pretty much all of my problems, and I think even some of Vincent's here. Ooh. Sorry, I can describe all of my problems, and even some of Vorn's here, with it feels kind of Marvel-y, where a lot of it's built towards future arcs for these characters, or future problems that might come up. Like Mystigan revealing his face to be the same as Jalal, and then just kind of fucking off.
Yeah, okay, so that's the thing. We hadn't gotten to that. How do you guys feel about Mystigan's face?
Damn, boy!
What a reveal! Now we know why he always puts people to sleep and doesn't want people to see his face.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, I cannot wait to get to Enolus. I fucking cannot wait.
But part of that what the fuck is, I think, was also that they were building up Mystigan to be an important part of this arc. He shows up, does a little bit of fighting, and then isn't really important at all.
Fucks off.
Yeah, which, once again, is foreshadowing for the whole Lasana arc and everything like that, which is Enolus.
And I think if I had to criticize this arc on its merits, not on the fact that, it's just building towards it, because it's a long-running anime series. It's going to be building towards stuff. Mm-hmm. We've done that a few times now. It's Loxus as a villain could have been set up before this arc. Like, this arc could have been built up to just a little bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, we've seen Loxus being an asshole who's obsessed with strength, like, once or twice previously in, like, brief moments, like, once during Phantom Lord, and I think once briefly before that, but we didn't get a whole ton of, like, the sentiment behind him.
Yeah.
Like, wanting to make Fairy Tail strong and that sort of thing. However, I will say, I really like Loxus in this arc. Obviously, mostly for entirely future things. Like, I love Loxus. Fucking love him. Baby.
I still actually don't get his motivation to actually, like, try to take over the guild besides just making it stronger.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, his motivation has to do with his father and his grandfather, right? Like, his father, like, he wants to be the master of the guild. He wants to have a strong guild, and he kind of views all these people as weaklings, you know, not willing to do what's necessary. Yeah. And he's always kind of, and he resents his grandfather for like, letting the guild become kind of the laughingstock. Because they do mention that in part of this arc, right? Like, they talk about how people laugh at Fairy Tail, and it's almost a joke because of how much property damage they do and how much they have trouble with stuff. And he resents that because that's, like, a stain on his own reputation. Like, this is the guild that he's going to take over someday, and people laugh at it. He's also just not mentally in a good place at all.
Yeah. That's what everyone's getting here. So you don't really get that. Like, you can understand that watching this arc a bit, and if you read between the lines a lot, you can get that. But you don't. It's not like Loxus as a character isn't really a character before this arc. He's just kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's been around in the background a few times, but never
as a character.
Yeah, well, I think the most we saw of him was with Droid, Jet, and Levy.
This arc could have felt a lot higher stakes if Loxus had been more present in the rest of the series.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I definitely get that. How do you like that setup thing about Urza's glass eye?
Oh, the glass... That was an
That was pretty funny.
That's
because we learned last arc that she had the glass eye, and then it comes in handy in this arc.
Yeah.
Also, we have Lucy. So I think this is the first example of Lucy fighting 100% in tandem with one of her spirits, right? Mm-hmm. Rather than just hiding behind them. Right, Rome?
Yeah.
Like, for the first time, we have Lucy call out a spirit and then fight alongside them to defeat a stronger enemy
Yeah.
that she could not have defeated on her own. Because we have her and Loki.
Is this the first time we've seen
Leo.
her whip?
I don't think it's the first time we've seen her whip, but it's the first time she's called out.
Against the villain, I think.
Yeah.
She used to whip against the bull.
Yeah. Yeah. But the first time against a villain, yes. But she's had it on her hip. We've seen it a few times. But her and Loki fighting against Bixlow. Which also, that was just a fun fight. I love Bixlow.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
It's the tongue. It's the tongue for me, dog. Evergreen is... I like Evergreen, but she's kind of held up in her own issues, and...
I kind of like the thing where Lucy called her mom
What?
What?
during the during the English dub. She actually Lucy calls Evergreen like mom.
Oh, did you watch the English stuff?
What? That doesn't happen.
Okay, or did I mishear it?
You misheard that. That does not happen.
Oh,
I promise you, that does not happen.
okay.
So speaking as someone who has watched both the dub and the sub, that does not happen.
Certainly didn't happen in the sub.
No, you misheard that.
Okay.
You misheard that. She does not do that. Ugh.
Yeah, I know, it would have been weird as fuck. It's like, wait, mom.
Yeah,
oh.
yeah, no, she does not look like her mother. She does not act like her mother.
Yeah.
No. So I really liked that we saw Lucy get to fight, like, properly with one of her spirits, because she's been going on and on about her spirits aren't tools. They're, like, companions and people who she fights with. But this is the first time we've seen her fight with 100%. And to beat a much stronger foe. That was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Demon Soul. Satan Soul. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Realm.
careful. You almost threw Realm into a From Software rant.
Realm, low key. Did Mira Jane's Satan Soul feel a little bit like changing armors in Elden Ring?
You can say that.
I'm sorry.
Say that.
I love Mira Jane's Satan Soul takeover.
Yeah.
Also, it's pretty cool because like we've been seeing Mira Jane so much, and I think at one point it was mentioned that Mira Jane used to be really strong, right? They talked about it in the Phantom Lord arc.
Yeah,
they've
with
been
the
building up Mira
flashback.
Jane
Yeah.
for a while now.
Yeah.
So like when she starts to transform, like I was like looking at them, I'm like, okay, you fucked up. That was a like, you just activated the Hulk moment. You're going to die.
Right? Like, oh my god, she fucking hulks the shit. I love Satan Soul. I love it so much. Also, watching her beat the ever-loving shit out of Freed with, like, literally no... Like, he was not on her level. Like, Freed is not on Satan Soul level. Like, she was just drop-kicking him from place to place. Repeatedly.
That was a straight up Dragon Ball fight. Though.
Yeah, I fucking love it. It was amazing.
It was a short and condensed one, though.
Thank
which made
God.
it better.
Yeah. So we got to see a lot of really fun fights. I do like the foreshadowing of Gajiel and Natsu not being able to leave because of the way that the rules were written, which was pretty cool. And then we have Gajiel and Natsu fighting against Laxus at the end while Urza rallies the entire guild to destroy all the Lacrima. Which was pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
It was a nice united effort.
I actually have a problem with that. Like, when they first trying to figure out what the hell Lacrima is, it's like, it's your own thing. You should have someone nearby to tell you what the fuck it is and how to fucking defeat / turn it off. And it's like,
Well,
it kind of felt a little bit of like
I think the thing
forced.
here, right, is that Lacrima is not that common in the world. Like,
well, not the Lacrima, but like the Thunder Palace thing.
yeah, the Thunder Palace. I mean, that's one of Loxus's powers, but he's a member of the guild. He's one of their Nakama.
Wait,
he's
no,
on their
is
side.
I thought that was from the fucking guild. I thought was it Lox's power? What,
The way they
Oh,
introduce it does feel like it's just
okay.
something the guild owns. And
Yeah.
wants
No.
to control.
It's Loxus's power specifically.
Okay, well, the fucking hell they did that crappily. Yeah.
No, Thunder Palace is specifically Loxus's power.
Yeah, it felt like a guild tool the way they explained it. And
No. They don't have any guild tools, not like Phantom Lord did with that giant cannon thing. They don't have that. That was Loxus's power. Thunder Palace is one of his. Just like Fairy Law is his grandfather's.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Ugh.
I didn't really feel that. I didn't get that. Even my first time watching it, I knew it was his.
I gotta side with Warren here. When I was watching it, until I could obviously put together that it was Thunder, therefore it was probably Loxus' at least run.
Did you get that, Rome?
Sorry, what was it?
That the Thunder Palace was part
So-
of like the guild.
So Vorn thought it was something that
property.
the guild owned. Like Thunder Palace was like something that the guild owned, not one of Loxus's powers.
No, I didn't.
Because I
Because Loxus tells his grandfather, like, I've activated the Thunder Palace, and his grandfather instantly knows what that is. So I assume that was his
he's
grandfather's
trained with
thing.
his grandfather.
Yeah, but
Yes, but then like
It's,
some
like,
of
surrounds the
guild
entire
members now,
town,
It's
so-
like wait.
Well, yeah,
Huh?
because he's holding the town hostage.
yeah, I don't know. Just the way it was introduced there, it
Yeah.
felt like it was something the guild owned, and that Loxus
Especially with
just
the
had
English
access to.
dub.
I 100% in neither the sub or the dub got that impression at all. Not even my first time watching. Like Thunder Palace was his. He activated it. His father knows, or his grandfather knows what it is because his grandfather helped him train and watched him grow up and develop his powers. But I never thought it was something that the guild owned.
No.
No, I didn't get that at all.
Yeah,
At least not personally.
I don't know. And we're split half and half here because Vorn and I seem to have gotten the same thing. I could read between the lines on that, but I don't know.
I just
It seemed like a
assumed-
town defensive measure that the guild controlled.
Yeah, like I just assumed like it's either a town defensive measure or it's something the guild owns because I assume the guild at least owns something weapony like the other guild that we saw.
No, that was a Phantom Lord exclusive. Phantom Lord is a dark guild, and that was a Phantom Lord exclusive. That not every guild owns some sort of like giant mechanized fucking monster to destroy other guilds. That's not how this
Or
works.
even something as defense at all.
Not really. No, that's not normal. Phantom Lord is the exception, not the rule.
Wow, that's kind
See, but that's not something we know as non-fair.
No,
Yeah.
no. But also, I don't see how you. I don't know. I don't see
Like
it.
we've
but
only seen like so many guilds.
yeah,
Like we've only seen Phantom Lord,
yeah.
and then we actually have Fairy Tale,
And Fairy Tail is very well
and then
involved
we have
with
the
town, right?
headquarters, and that's it. So I have to draw my bases off like just those three examples right there.
That's
So,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair. What's this? The fucking the pose at the end.
Yes, the pointer pose.
Yeah, the finger. I love. Sorry.
Yeah, that was such a nice thing, and like all the backstory that we got about Loxus,
You know what?
that was
I
so
think
nice.
could have because I actually like this arc unlike Warren. You know what I think would have fixed a lot of my build-up problems?
Yeah.
If those scenes of child Loxus and his grandfather were all put at the beginning. So that you
Yeah.
back before Soup,
Yeah.
so then you get okay. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
Oh no, but they did kind of help break up some of the fight scenes.
They
Whereas,
did.
cool down.
Yeah.
As cool of a moment, or as nice as a moment as imagine if that came back from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where instead of being introduced right before they do it and you could tell it's coming.
Yeah. I suppose that's fair. But I think how did you feel about it? You've been pretty quiet about Battle of Fairy Tale.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I thought it was a fine arc. Not gonna lie, but I didn't really have too many opinions on it.
Did you have a particular fight that you liked from Battle of Fairy Tale? Let's all if any of us had a particular fight that we liked. For me, it was watching Mira Jane beat the ever loving shit
I mean,
out of Freed.
yeah. Honestly,
Damn it, you two just... That's mine, but now I feel like I'm being unoriginal.
Like mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry, mommy.
mommy.
I mean, it's not unoriginal. It is an epic. It's so short and concise, yet epic to watch because a lot of the fights are not exactly the most epic in the. I will admit, some of the fights are pretty meh. They're between people who aren't that powerful, or it's very obvious who will win. You knew Urza was going to win against Evergreen, right?
Yeah.
Super easy. And I do really like Bixlow's fights because Bixlow's an acrobat in the way that he moves, so I think it makes for dynamic fights. But watching Mira Jane absolutely
Just
beat the
pound.
loving shit out
Yeah.
of Freed.
So, I have a one thought on this arc that ran throughout the entire time I'm watching this. Was this arc ever turned into a fairy tale fighting game? And if not, why not?
Right, this would have been the most
Ooh, yeah.
fun fighting game.
Contrived setup to have random characters that wouldn't normally fight each other, with a clear final boss who's very powerful that you can have as the final boss of a random arcadey mode. The fuck? There should be a fighting game about this.
Yeah, I don't think there ever was, but it should have been.
Ooh, my number 2 favorite fight. Urza beating up Natsu after she breaking the stone spell.
Yeah, beating the shit out. That was pretty funny. Do you have maybe a second favorite fight? Since I know we all loved Satan's Soul and Freed.
Maybe the Lucy fight there, because that one was pretty...
Big Slow and Lucy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty dynamic. I think, honestly, I will say, the most underwhelming fight out of this entire arc was actually Gajiel and Natsu versus Laxus.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? Like, Laxus is really strong. He's an S-class mage. But so is Gajiel. And Natsu has beaten Gajiel. And, like, working together, they're stronger than they are separate. Like, obviously it's a shonen. You know the main character's gonna win. But, like, this almost felt like overkill.
I almost feel like the problem, because I didn't think anything was particularly wrong with that fight. I think I was just unimpressed, and I think that was largely because we've seen Natsu fight so many times. He seems to be the final combatant of every single fight in every single arc, which I criticized Tower of Heaven for.
Mm-hmm.
Here it feels more appropriate, but we've already seen him fight so much.
Yeah.
In these big giant end boss fights.
Yeah, but at the same time, Urza was right. She was more useful destroying Lacrima in this case, at least. Because she was able to manifest enough swords.
It's not that
to
it doesn't
take
make
out.
sense for him and Gajiel to be fighting this time. This is like, this arc in particular feels like Natsu was the
Should've
correct
been, yeah.
choice to be the final fight.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I think it's not the most exciting fight for me to watch. I think because there are other Dragon Slayer versus Dragon Slayer fights that are more interesting later in the series, this one maybe takes a backseat in terms of interest for me.
Actually, I'm wondering, why didn't Makarov, since they just had the new guild built up, get somebody to do, that runic barrier stuff to stop them from destroying the guild constantly?
The runic barriers take a lot, right? And it's one of those things where you have to think about technicality and purpose and...
Yeah, they didn't intend to have Natsu and Gajiel.
Yeah,
here's
here's the thing. Freed's really the only person who could have done it in the guild, right? He's the only person who works that magic on such a large scale so well. And he's not usually at the guild because he's out with Laxus. And at this point, Laxus was already planning this after the guild was destroyed, so he wouldn't have come back to put
Wait, so you can't
runes on the
hire
guild.
somebody to do that?
You could, but why would you if you have your own runic master?
Yeah, I guess.
Plus, if you hire someone else to do it, then they might sell those plans to a rival guild, and then they'll know all your little loopholes.
Yeah, it kind of just feels like there would be a giant business association for that.
No, not really.
Okay.
You'd be surprised. Magic's not used very often in business outside of mercenary and hiring the wizards to solve shit. You don't hire wizards to place barriers.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like a waste.
Because I don't think it quite. I don't think it quite works in that it's the sort of thing where it's just you make this barrier and it's there forever and strong. It doesn't quite work that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Once again, he has to expend a lot of energy, and I would assume that the potential expended energy is directly proportional to how long he wants the barrier to last. So, obviously, he had time to set this up, right? Mm-hmm. So he probably did, a few barriers here and then, writing different ones at different times, and leaving them to kind of come active at a certain time. But if you wanted to make a barrier that would last, potentially for, a couple of years and be, always active, he probably doesn't have that much energy.
Couldn't you tie it to a Lacrima crystal, or can you not do that?
Lacrimas aren't that easy to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Laxus made all of those Thunder Lacrima using his own powers. And once again, once the Lacrima is spent, you have to go get another Lacrima and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
It's just not that easy to accumulate so much random power, I think. But yeah.
Okay.
I think we should do waifu. Oh, no.
No.
Love and Lucky.
What?
Love and Lucky.
No, I was going to say, no, we don't do Wife Wars right now. We do Miss Fairy Tale.
Oh, God, yes, we have to do both. But first of all, Love and Lucky. Like, we've almost forgotten to do Love and Lucky. But, so this is episode 51. It is a kind of, it's a little one-off, but it's part of Lucy's backstory, right? Which, unlike some of the other characters where we're getting, like, whole arcs dedicated to their backstories, Lucy's actually gets peppered in throughout the series quite a bit. Like, we get little hints of her backstory, because Lucy is the main character.
Yeah, and then eventually we do obviously get we covered this like in the last set of episodes that we watched, but we got her whole little thing with like her father. And
Oh,
stuff
but
like
we're
that.
going to get even more as the series goes on.
Mm.
So Love and Lucky, right? It was just one episode, and she was confronting her father
Yeah,
on having her, like, followed and stalked and monitored.
yeah,
You know, which, fair. I personally think that I like it better here than if they had tacked it onto the end of Phantom Lord, because that would have been, like, too close to, like, everything happening.
For the events here where her father's already let his entire business empire crumble,
Yeah.
that would have been even more quick if you put it right after Phantom Lord.
Yeah,
It would have
like,
worked.
you needed the little bit of time in
yeah.
between.
There needs to be a little bit of time in between
You
now
might
and then.
be able to argue you could have put this arc after Tower of Heaven, maybe.
Yeah, maybe after Tower of Heaven. But at the same time, once they get back from Tower of Heaven, Battle of Fairy Tale only takes a few days. You know, it's like, I think total of like 2 or 3 days, festival and prep included. And, you know, she handles it after that. So
But those are two really big arcs. You could have broken it up with this, I think. I'm not saying this arc suffers much for it, but like if you're just looking to make it earlier, that probably would have been a pretty decent spot to put it.
You could have, but I don't think it needed to be earlier. It was fine where it was, in my opinion.
It's a one-off. I don't really have as many like, oh, the pacing here. No, it's a one-off.
It's a one-off. It was just a fun episode. I liked getting a little more about Lucy.
Got to see her pull out her best, like her special secret move.
Yeah.
Lucy Kick!
Lucy
Yeah.
Kick.
Let's face it, Lucy Kick is the ultimate attack.
The best, the one and only magic attack.
The second time you see her fighting alongside her.
Yeah, alongside one of her servants. Okay, so, Miss Fairy Tale pageant, everybody. Who is your favorite Miss Fairy Tale?
Julia. She was in there, right?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Mira Jane.
Wait, was there another green hair girl besides Sniper?
Not a green hair. So Levy has blue hair.
Yeah.
Sniper Girl has green hair. And then there was Mira Jane and Lucy and Urza and Juvia.
Oh yeah, then Sniper Girl.
Sniper Girl? Okay.
Yeah.
I vote for fucking Levy because Levy needs some love, and I like
Yeah.
Levy's magic. She's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but now waifu, which can
Yeah.
include men. So
Yeah.
waifu now. Waifu wars. Waifu wars. Waifu wars. Knick knack.
Still Juvia.
That's fair. Realm.
Mira Jane, please pound me, mommy.
Yes. Vorn.
For this one, Urza.
Nice. Okay. I 100% agree with Pound Me Mommy to Satan's Soul, but like, I love Laxus. I love Big Slow. I love Freed.
Choose one.
Yeah, you can't pick all the fairy tale men.
It's just those
want
three.
to.
Wait, can't I just have the fucking...
No.
No, she does have the one. I want them all because
But I
did
don't,
use
but I
one.
don't want them all. I just want those three.
Pick one.
Big Slow this time. I did Laxus last time because we'd officially introduced him to the series. So this time, I will give my love to Big Slow.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see Bacchus. But yes, Big Slow, I love my baby.
But yeah, have you guys forgotten about you have a one like
Yeah, once a
time-
season we get to say like all of the men are.
I thought
all
we
the
just
women.
unilaterally banned it after Vorn used it once.
No, we
gave it as
we
like a
didn't-
one-time thing. For
yeah,
all
we
of
made
us.
it a
It was
one
a one-time.
time.
It was a one-time joke.
Yeah.
It was a one-time joke.
We made it. You could do it one time per season each.
Has school days taught you all nothing?
But with that being said, we'll be back with free thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe.
Start digging your grave.